Okay, great. Okay, excellent. So let me welcome everybody to the 10th session of our online Gita Parayan, Bhagavad Gita Parayan for the year 2022. This is the Silver Jubilee year, 25th year of Gita Jayanti in Singapore, and we are very glad to have this going for the third year in succession. And we have been getting pretty good response also. And we are very happy to have Mr. Dhyanji as our guest of honor for today. He was associated with the BJAR, the Bihar Jharkhand Society of Singapore, and we will have all our chanters here. And today, the speaker for today is Srimati Janaki Srikanth. She will be speaking on chapter 9, the Rajavidya Rajaguhya Yogam today. So that'll be done after the Parayan. So now, without much ado, let us get started with the Parayan, and we'll start with the invocation by Padmini ji.
Oh. Sahana bhavatu, Sahanau bhunaktu, Sahaviryam karavavahai, Tejasvinavadhitamastu, Ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shuklam Varadharam Vishnum, Shashivarnam Chaturbhujam, Prasannavadanam Dhyayet, Sarvavighnopashantaye, Saraswati Namastubhyam, Varade Kamarupini, Vidyarambham Karishyami, Siddhirbhavatu me sada. Sarvamangalamangalye Shive Sarvarthasadhike Sharanye Trambake Gauri Narayani Namostute Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsachanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum.
Hari Om. Thank you, Padmini ji, for this beautiful chantings, invocation mantras. Now we have the segment of the welcome address by our guest of honor for today, Mr. Dhyanji. Is associated with the Singapore Bihar Society of Singapore. That is a Bihar Jharkhand Society, and they've been our lead organization for the a few years ago, just in the recent past. And we are very glad to have you, Dhyanji, and over to you, Dhyanji.
Good morning, sir. Thank you, Srinivasan ji, for inviting me once again to be part of this beautiful journey. We welcome all our friends here. Just to tell you in short, Bihar has been associated with Gita Jayanti for quite some time. We have been taking part in the organizations which when we had in Little India also. Yeah, 2-3 times we have taken part there also. Recently, yes, recently it's been online. So they've been, the participation has been quite less. But this has been a very good effort, and we must say this. By doing this, we are spreading our culture, our the gist of that culture to everybody, and it's a very good effort to invite everybody to be part of this. We here, especially our society. You see other religions, they are day to day, every day they are trying to influence their next generation. Our next generation is slightly we can say off the track, and this is the best way to invite all of them to be part of this and to connect to our core values, which is given the what you call the sar of Gita is basically our core values, which we have been practicing for thousands of years. Much more, I mean, even before the civilization started, we are following these core values. Much more before that, much more other civilizations, other religions, when they have not even started, Hindu religion was, the much older than that. Our values are much older and very well defined in the system. So I congratulate every member of this society to be to create this group to connect to all the people, especially our old generation plus new generation, to be part of this beautiful journey and connect to them to our core values. One more request I will say. We have seen, a lot of good mornings, and everybody has this, morning time. We have a caption coming or in SMS coming, good morning. Sometimes we get in Hindi also, Suprabhat. What I would suggest, part of Gita group here, every day we should try to spread Suprabhat with a small Gita sar, one line from Gita and then Suprabhat. That will make our culture, in fact, the value of our culture will be spread among everybody. You see, most of the morning messages coming with the Bible, Bible lines. So why not start with our own, we have plenty guns. We have Quran, we have Ved, we have, and the best of all is our own Gita, which is actually star of all our grunts. So why not we spread the Gita lines to everyone, and we wish them in the morning. We wish them one of two Gita lines, which is a very good beginning of our day. Actually, that will be a very good, way to connect to all our people and especially the new generation to take up to learn the teachings of Gita and ensure they take it to their heart and then they follow and then they spread it in our society. I think that will be a very good thing from our from entire team to spread it among all the youth. Thank you very much, Srinivasanji. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dhyanji, for those nice words. Actually, we have regarding the spreading our Gita Jayanti's activities are actually spanning across the different age groups. Right from small children of I think 3-4 years to maybe 80 plus, 90 plus, or even maybe 100 or so, right across the age groups. And actually, we have like very small children chanting the Gita. For example, we have had actually one child of 4 or 5 years, chanting the full chapter of Gita by heart. So we also have competitions for children to learn and to motivate them to learn the Gita and also chant it and everything. So, and we have items like we have events like they have Gita forum and all meant for the youth, and we have other traditional events for the old people. So we have actually events for all across all different age groups. And regarding your idea about the spreading message of the Gita over WhatsApp, and we have now an ongoing program called as Ameya, where we actually send out 3 verses of the Bhagavad Gita chanted by Swami Onkarananda ji with the verse, and it will be sent to all the people who are registered in that particular Ameya group. So that activity is actually ongoing. We will try to make it bigger in future times, so that every day people get at least a few lines of the Gita chanted properly, and also with the meanings. So that will be we will try to enhance this idea in the coming years, so that more and more people will get it. So that is the.
Thank you, sir. This is a very good. This is a very good beginning, sir. Thank you for inviting me to be part of this journey. Once again, thank you, sir.
And we are very happy to have Bijar and all other organizations. We are now 25 years old. Now we have 25 different organizations actually being a part of this. So that's really an amazing thing. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, sir. And I will actually disable unmuting by people, so that there'll be no disturbance, because otherwise there can be disturbance. So I will actually, people will be able to unmute yourself after the event, after the for the question and answer session, after the formal part of the segment is over, so that there'll be no disturbance. So only the co-host will be able to unmute yourself. Okay, so now let's get started with the formal part of the whole program. So let me just start sharing the screen again. So thank you once again, Dhyanji, for that, for those nice words on the Gita and our the Gita Jayanti efforts that we have. So now we move over to the next part, which is actually chanting the invocation, because we cannot start chanting the actual Bhagavad Gita in proper without the invocation of the Gita Dhyanam. So this will be done by Padmaniji again.
Om Shri Paramatmane Namaha. अथ श्रीमद्भगवद्गीता ध्यानम्. ॐ पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वाम् अनुसन्दधामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणी. नमोऽस्तु ते व्यासविशालबुद्धे फुल्लारविन्दायतपत्रनेत्र येन त्वया भारततैलपूर्णः प्रज्वालितो ज्ञानमयः प्रदीपः प्रपन्नपारिजाताय स्तोत्रवेत्रैकपाणये ज्ञानमुद्राय कृष्णाय गीतामृतदुहे नमः. सर्वोपनिषदो गावो दोग्धा गोपालनन्दनः पार्थो वत्सः सुधीर्भोक्ता दुग्धं गीतामृतं महत्. वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं. भीष्मद्रोणतटा जयद्रथजला गान्धारनीलोत्पला शल्यग्राहवती कृपेण वहनी कर्णेन वेलाकुला. अश्वत्थामविकर्णघोरमकरा दुर्योधनावर्तिनी सोत्तीर्णा खलु पाण्डवैरणनदी कैवर्तकः केशवः. पाराशर्यवचः सरोजममलं गीतार्थगन्धोत्कटं नानाख्यानककेसरं हरिकथा सम्बोधनाबोधितं. लोके सज्जनषट्पदैरहरः पेपीयमानं मुदा भूयाद्भारतपङ्कजं कलिमल प्रध्वंसि न श्रेयसे. मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवं. यं ब्रह्मा वरुणेन्द्ररुद्रमरुतः स्तुन्वन्ति दिव्यैस्तवैः वेदैः साङ्गपदक्रमोपनिषदैः गायन्ति यं सामगाः. ध्यानावस्थिततद्गतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यं योगिनः यस्यान्तं न विदुः सुरासुरगणाः. देवाय तस्मै नमः.
Thank you, Padmaniji, for those beautiful chanting of the Gita Dhyanam. Now we move over to the actual Parayan session for today. Today's session will cover chapter 9, verses 22 to the end of the chapter, that is verse 34. And after that, we'll have chapter 10, verses 1 to 28. Basically, we need to do about 40 verses a day, so that we cover the full Bhagavad Gita in 18 sessions. So that is the reason why we are forced to split the chapters. So today, today's session is as this, and please pay attention to the meanings of the verses 2 that is given in each slide, so that you can understand what each verse means also, in addition to chanting. And at the end of the chanting, we'll have the Gita Mahatmyam, followed by the talk for the session on chapter 9. So now we move over to the actual Parayan session. Over to Padmaniji and Veena ji.
Ananyaschintayanto mam
Ananyaschintayanto mam
ye janah paryupasate
ye janah paryupasate
teshan nityabhiyuktanam
teshan nityabhiyuktanam
yogakshemam vahamyaham.
yogakshemam vahamyaham.
Ananyaschintayanto mam ye janah paryupasate teshan nityabhiyuktanam yogakshemam vahamyaham.
Ananyaschintayanto mam ye janah paryupasate teshan nityabhiyuktanam yogakshemam vahamyaham.
Yepyanyadevata bhaktaha
Yepyanyadevata bhaktaha
yajante shraddhayanvitaha
yajante shraddhayanvitaha
tepi mameva kaunteya
tepi mameva kaunteya
yajantya vidhipurvakam.
yajantya vidhipurvakam.
Yepyanyadevata bhaktaha yajante shraddhayanvitaha tepi mameva kaunteya yajantya vidhipurvakam.
Yepyanyadevata bhaktaha yajante shraddhayanvitaha tepi mameva kaunteya yajantya vidhipurvakam.
Aham hi sarva yajnanam
Aham hi sarva yajnanam
bhokta cha prabhureva cha
bhokta cha prabhureva cha
natu mam abhijananti
natu mam abhijananti
tatvena tascha vantite.
tatvena tascha vantite.
Aham hi sarva yajnanam bhokta cha prabhureva cha natu mam abhijananti tatvena tascha vantite.
Aham hi sarva yajnanam bhokta cha prabhureva cha natu mam abhijananti tatvena tascha vantite.
Yanti deva vrata devan
Yanti deva prata devan
pitran yanti pitravrataha
Pitrun yanti pitraprataha
bhutani yanti bhutejyaha
Bhutani yanti bhutejaha
yanti madhyajinopi mam.
Yanti madhyajinopi mam
Yanti deva vrata devan pitran yanti pitravrataha bhutani yanti bhutejyaha yanti madhyajinopi mam.
Yanti deva prata devan Pitrun yanti pitraprataha Bhutani yanti bhutejaha Yanti madhyajinopi mam
Patram pushpam phalantoyam
Patram pushpam phalantoyam
yo me bhaktya prayachati
Yo me bhaktya prayachati
tadaham bhaktyupahritam
Tadaham bhaktyupahritam
ashnami prayatatmanah
Ashnami prayatatmanaha
पत्रं पुष्पं फलं तोयं यो मे भक्त्या प्रयच्छति तदहं भक्त्युपहृतम् अश्नामि प्रयतात्मनः
पत्रं पुष्पं फलं तोयं यो मे भक्त्या प्रयच्छति तदहं भक्त्युपहृतम् अश्नामि प्रयतात्मनः
यत्करोषि यदश्नासि
यत्करोषि यदश्नासि
यज्जुहोषि ददासि यत्
यज्जुहोषि ददासि यत्
यत्तपस्यसि कौन्तेय
यत्तपस्यसि कौन्तेय
तत्कुरुष्व मदर्पणम्
तत्कुरुष्व मदर्पणम्
यत्करोषि यदश्नासि यज्जुहोषि ददासि यत् यत्तपस्यसि कौन्तेय तत्कुरुष्व मदर्पणम्
यत्करोषि यदश्नासि यज्जुहोषि ददासि यत् यत्तपस्यसि कौन्तेय तत्कुरुष्व मदर्पणम्
शुभाशुभफलैरेवम्
शुभाशुभफलैरेवम्
मोक्ष्यसे कर्मबन्धनैः
मोक्ष्यसे कर्मबन्धनैः
सन्न्यासयोगयुक्तात्मा
सन्न्यासयोगयुक्तात्मा
विमुक्तो मामुपैष्यसि
विमुक्तो मामुपैष्यसि
शुभाशुभफलैरेवम् मोक्ष्यसे कर्मबन्धनैः सन्न्यासयोगयुक्तात्मा विमुक्तो मामुपैष्यसि
शुभाशुभफलैरेवम् मोक्ष्यसे कर्मबन्धनैः सन्न्यासयोगयुक्तात्मा विमुक्तो मामुपैष्यसि समोहं सर्वभूतेषु
समोहो सर्वभूतेषु
न मे द्वेष्योऽस्ति न प्रियः
न मे द्वेष्योऽस्ति न प्रियः
ये भजन्ति तु मां भक्त्या
ये भजन्ति तु मां भक्त्या
मयि ते तेषु चाप्यहम्
मयि ते तेषु चाप्यहम्
समोहं सर्वभूतेषु न मे द्वेष्योऽस्ति न प्रियः ये भजन्ति तु मां भक्त्या मयि ते तेषु चाप्यहम्
समोहं सर्वभूतेषु न मे द्वेष्योऽस्ति न प्रियः ये भजन्ति तु मां भक्त्या मयि ते तेषु चाप्यहम्
अपि चेत् सुदुराचारः
अपि चेत् सुदुराचारः
भजते मामनन्यभाक्
भजते मामनन्यभाक्
साधुरेव समन्तव्यः
साधुरेव समन्तव्यः
सम्यक् व्यवसितो हि सः
सम्यग् व्यवसितो हि सः
अपि चेत् सुदुराचारः भजते मामनन्यभाक् साधुरेव समन्तव्यः सम्यक् व्यवसितो हि सः
अपि चेत् सुदुराचारः भजते मामनन्यभाक् साधुरेव समन्तव्यः सम्यग् व्यवसितो हि सः
क्षिप्रं भवति धर्मात्मा
क्षिप्रं भवति धर्मात्मा
शश्वच्छान्तिं निगच्छति
शश्वच्छान्तिं निगच्छति
कौन्तेय प्रतिजानीहि
कौन्तेय प्रतिजानीहि
न मे भक्तः प्रणश्यति
न मे भक्तः प्रणश्यति
क्षिप्रं भवति धर्मात्मा शश्वच्छान्तिं निगच्छति कौन्तेय प्रतिजानीहि न मे भक्तः प्रणश्यति
क्षिप्रं भवति धर्मात्मा शश्वच्छान्तिं निगच्छति कौन्तेय प्रतिजानीहि न मे भक्तः प्रणश्यति
मां हि पार्थव्यपाश्रित्य
मां हि पार्थव्यपाश्रित्य
येऽपि स्युः पापयोनयः
येऽपि स्युः पापयोनयः
स्त्रियो वैश्यास्तथा शूद्राः
स्त्रियो वैश्यास्तथा शूद्राः
तेऽपि यान्ति परां गतिम्
तेऽपि यान्ति परां गतिम्
मां हि पार्थव्यपाश्रित्य येऽपि स्युः पापयोनयः स्त्रियो वैश्यास्तथा शूद्राः तेऽपि यान्ति परां गतिम्
मां हि पार्थव्यपाश्रित्य येऽपि स्युः पापयोनयः स्त्रियो वैश्यास्तथा शूद्राः तेऽपि यान्ति परां गतिम्
किं पुनर्ब्राह्मणाः पुण्याः
किं पुनर्ब्राह्मणाः पुण्याः
भक्ता राजर्षयस्तथा
भक्ता राजर्षयस्तथा
अनित्यमसुखं लोकम्
अनित्यमसुखं लोकम्
इमं प्राप्य भजस्व माम्
इमं प्राप्य भजस्व माम्
किं पुनर्ब्राह्मणाः पुण्याः भक्ता राजर्षयस्तथा अनित्यमसुखं लोकम् इमं प्राप्य भजस्व माम्
किं पुनर्ब्राह्मणाः पुण्याः भक्ता राजर्षयस्तथा अनित्यमसुखं लोकम् इमं प्राप्य भजस्व माम्
मन्मना भव मद्भक्तः
मन्मना भव मद्भक्तः
मद्याजी मां नमस्कुरु
मद्याजी मां नमस्कुरु
मामे वैष्यसि युक्त्वैवम्
मामे वैष्यसि युक्त्वैवम्
आत्मानं मत्परायणः
आत्मानं मत्परायणः
मन्मना भव मद्भक्तः मद्याजी मां नमस्कुरु मामे वैष्यसि युक्त्वैवम् आत्मानं मत्परायणः
मन्मना भव मद्भक्तः मद्याजी मां नमस्कुरु मामे वैष्यसि युक्त्वैवम् आत्मानं मत्परायणः
ॐ तत्सत् इति श्रीमद्भगवद्गीतासु उपनिषत्सु ब्रह्मविद्यायां योगशास्त्रे श्रीकृष्णार्जुनसंवादे राजविद्या राजगुह्ययोगो नाम नवमोऽध्यायः वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुम्
अथ दशमोऽध्यायः विभूतियोगः श्रीभगवानुवाच
श्रीभगवानुवाच
भूय एव महाबाहो
भूय एव महाबाहो
शृणु मे परमौ वचः
शृणु मे परमौ वचः
यत्तेऽहं प्रीयमाणाय
यत्तेऽहं प्रीयमाणाय
वक्ष्यामि हितकाम्यया
वक्ष्यामि हितकाम्यया
श्रीभगवानुवाच भूय एव महाबाहो शृणु मे परमौ वचः यत्तेऽहं प्रीयमाणाय वक्ष्यामि हितकाम्यया
श्रीभगवानुवाच भूय एव महाबाहो शृणु मे परमौ वचः यत्तेऽहं प्रीयमाणाय वक्ष्यामि हितकाम्यया
न मे विदुः सुरगणाः
न मे विदुः सुरगणाः
प्रभवन्न महर्षयः
प्रभवन्न महर्षयः
अहमादिर्हि देवानां
अहमादिर्हि देवानां
महर्षीणां च सर्वशः
महर्षीणां च सर्वशः
न मे विदुः सुरगणाः प्रभवन्न महर्षयः अहमादिर्हि देवानां महर्षीणां च सर्वशः
न मे विदुः सुरगणाः प्रभवन्न महर्षयः अहमादिर्हि देवानां महर्षीणां च सर्वशः
यो मामजमनादिं च
यो मामजमनादिं च
वेत्ति लोकमहेश्वरम्
वेत्ति लोकमहेश्वरम्
असम्मूढः समर्थ्येषु
असम्मूढः समर्थ्येषु
सर्वपापैः प्रमुच्यते
सर्वपापैः प्रमुच्यते
यो माम् अजमनादिं च वेत्ति लोकमहेश्वरम् असम्मूढः समर्थ्येषु सर्वपापैः प्रमुच्यते
यो मामजमनादिं च वेत्ति लोकमहेश्वरम् असम्मूढः समर्थ्येषु सर्वपापैः प्रमुच्यते
बुद्धिर्ज्ञानमसम्मोहः
बुद्धिर्ज्ञानमसम्मोहः
क्षमा सत्यं दमः शमः
क्षमा सत्यं दमः शमः
सुखं दुःखं भवो भावः
सुखं दुःखं भवो भावः
भयं च भयमेव च
भयं च भयमेव च
बुद्धिर्ज्ञानमसम्मोहः क्षमा सत्यं दमः शमः सुखं दुःखं भवो भावः भयं च भयमेव च
बुद्धिर्ज्ञानमसम्मोहः क्षमा सत्यं दमः शमः सुखं दुःखं भवो भावः भयं च भयमेव च
अहिंसा समता तुष्टिः
अहिंसा समता तुष्टिः
तपोदानै यशो यशः
तपोदानै यशो यशः
भवन्ति भावा भूतानां
भवन्ति भावा भूतानां
मत्त एव पृथग्विधाः
मत्त एव पृथक् विधाः
अहिंसा समता तुष्टिः तपोदानै यशो यशः भवन्ति भावा भूतानां मत्त एव पृथग्विधाः
अहिंसा समता तुष्टिः तपोदानै यशो यशः भवन्ति भावा भूतानां मत्त एव पृथग्विधाः
महर्षयः सप्त पूर्वे
महर्षयः सप्त पूर्वे
चत्वारो मनवस्तथा
चत्वारो मनवस्तथा
मद्भावा मानसा जाताः
मद्भावा मानसा जाताः
येषां लोक इमाः प्रजाः
येषां लोक इमाः प्रजाः
महर्षयः सप्त पूर्वे चत्वारो मनवस्तथा मद्भावा मानसा जाताः येषां लोक इमाः प्रजाः
महर्षयः सप्त पूर्वे चत्वारो मनवस्तथा मद्भावा मानसा जाताः येषां लोक इमाः प्रजाः
एतां विभूतिं योगं च
एतां विभूतिं योगं च
मम यो वेत्ति तत्त्वतः
मम यो वेत्ति तत्त्वतः
सोऽविकम्पेन योगेन
सोऽविकम्पेन योगेन
युज्यते नात्र संशयः
युज्यते नात्र संशयः
एतां विभूतिं योगं च मम यो वेत्ति तत्त्वतः सोऽविकम्पेन योगेन युज्यते नात्र संशयः
एतां विभूतिं योगं च मम यो वेत्ति तत्त्वतः सोऽविकम्पेन योगेन युज्यते नात्र संशयः अहं सर्वस्य प्रभवः
अहं सर्वस्य प्रभवः
मत्तः सर्वं प्रवर्तते
मत्तः सर्वं प्रवर्तते
इति मत्वा भजन्ते माम्
इति मत्वा भजन्ते माम्
बुधा भावसमन्विताः
बुधा भावसमन्विताः
अहं सर्वस्य प्रभवः मत्तः सर्वं प्रवर्तते इति मत्वा भजन्ते माम् बुधा भावसमन्विताः
अहं सर्वस्य प्रभवः मत्तः सर्वं प्रवर्तते इति मत्वा भजन्ते माम् बुधा भावसमन्विताः
मच्चित्ता मद्गतप्राणाः
मच्चित्ता मद्गतप्राणाः
बोधयन्तः परस्परम्
बोधयन्तः परस्परम्
कथयन्तश्च मां नित्यम्
कथयन्तश्च मां नित्यम्
तुष्यन्ति च रमन्ति च
तुष्यन्ति च रमन्ति च
मच्चित्ता मद्गतप्राणाः बोधयन्तः परस्परं कथयन्तश्च मां नित्यम् तुष्यन्ति च रमन्ति च
मच्चित्ता मद्गतः प्राणाः बोधयन्तः परस्परं कथयन्तश्च मां नित्यम् तुष्यन्ति च रमन्ति च
तेषां
सततयुक्तानां
भजतां प्रीतिपूर्वकम्
भजतां प्रीतिपूर्वकम्
ददामि बुद्धियोगन्तम्
ददामि बुद्धियोगं तम्
येन मामुपयान्ति ते
येन मामुपयान्ति ते
तेषां सततयुक्तानां भजतां प्रीतिपूर्वकम् ददामि बुद्धियोगन्तम् येन मामुपयान्ति ते
तेषां सततयुक्तानां भजतां प्रीतिपूर्वकं ददामि बुद्धियोगं तं येन मामुपयान्ति ते तेषामेवानुकम्पार्थम् अहमज्ञानजं तमः नाशयाम्यात्मभावस्थः ज्ञानदीपेन भास्वता
अहमज्ञानजन्तमः नाशयाम्यात्मभावस्थः ज्ञानदीपेन भास्वता
तेषामेवानुकम्पार्थम् अहमज्ञानजं तमः नाशयाम्यात्मभावस्थः ज्ञानदीपेन भास्वता
अर्जुन उवाच
अर्जुन उवाच
परं ब्रह्म परं धाम
परं ब्रह्म परं धाम
पवित्रं परमं भवान्
पवित्रं परमं भवान्
पुरुषं शाश्वतं दिव्यम्
पुरुषं शाश्वतं दिव्यम्
आदिदेवमजं विभुम्
आदिदेवमजं विभुम्
अर्जुन उवाच परं ब्रह्म परं धाम पवित्रं परमं भवान् पुरुषं शाश्वतं दिव्यम् आदिदेवमजं विभुम्
अर्जुन उवाच परं ब्रह्म परं धाम पवित्रं परमं भवान् पुरुषं शाश्वतं दिव्यम् आदिदेवमजं विभुम्
आहुस्त्वां ऋषयः सर्वे
आहुस्त्वामृषयः सर्वे
देवर्षिर्नारदस्तथा
देवर्षिनारदस्तथा
असितो देवलो व्यासः
असितो देवलो व्यासः
स्वयं चैव
ब्रवीषि मे
आहुस्त्वां ऋषयः सर्वे देवर्षिर्नारदस्तथा असितो देवलो व्यासः स्वयं चैव ब्रवीषि मे
आहुस्त्वां ऋषयः सर्वे देवर्षिर्नारदस्तथा असितो देवलो व्यासः स्वयं चैव ब्रवीषि मे
सर्वमेतदृतं
मन्ये
यन्मां वदसि केशव न हि ते भगवन् व्यक्तिम् विदुर्देवानदानवाः सर्वमेतदृतं मन्ये यन्मां वदसि केशव न हि ते भगवन् व्यक्तिं विदुर्देवानदानवाः
सर्वमेतद्धृतं मन्ये यन्मां वदसि केशव न हि ते भगवन् व्यक्तिं विदुर्देवानदानवाः
स्वयमेवात्मनात्मानं
वेत्त्यत्वं पुरुषोत्तम
वेत्थत्वं पुरुषोत्तम
भूतभावन भूतेश
भूतभावन भूतेश
देवदेव जगत्पते
देवदेव जगत्पते
स्वयमेवात्मनात्मानं वेत्थ त्वं पुरुषोत्तम भूतभावनभूतेश देवदेव जगत्पते
स्वयमेवात्मनात्मानं वेत्थ त्वं पुरुषोत्तम भूतभावनभूतेश देवदेव जगत्पते
वक्तुमर्हस्य शेषेण
वक्तुमर्हस्य शेषेण
दिव्या ह्यात्मविभूतयः
दिव्या ह्यात्मविभूतयः
याभिर्विभूतिभिर्लोकान्
याभिर्विभूतिभिर्लोकान्
इमां स्त्वं व्याप्य तिष्ठसि
इमां स्त्वं व्याप्य तिष्ठसि
वक्तुमर्हस्य शेषेण दिव्या ह्यात्मविभूतयः याभिर्भूतिभिर्लोकान् इमां स्वं व्याप्य तिष्ठसि
वक्तुमर्हस्य शेषेण दिव्या ह्यात्मविभूतयः याभिर्विभूतिभिर्लोकान् इमां स्त्वं व्याप्य तिष्ठसि
कथं विद्यामहं योगिन्
कथं विद्यामहं योगिन्
त्वां सदा परिचिन्तयन्
त्वां सदा परिचिन्तयन्
केषु केषु च भावेषु
केषु केषु च भावेषु
चिन्तोऽसि भगवन्मया
चिन्त्योऽसि भगवन्मया
कथं विद्यामहं योगिन् त्वां सदा परिचिन्तयन् केषु केषु च भावेषु चिन्त्योऽसि भगवन्मया
कथं विद्यामहं योगिन् त्वां सदा परिचिन्तयन् केषु केषु च भावेषु चिन्त्योऽसि भगवन्मया
विस्तरेणात्मनो योगम्
विस्तरेणात्मनो योगम्
विभूतिं च जनार्दन
विभूतिं च जनार्दन
भूयः कथय तृप्तर्हि
भूयः कथय तृप्तिर्हि
शृण्वतो नास्ति मे मृतम्
शृण्वतो नास्ति मे मृतम्
विस्तरेणात्मनो योगम् विभूतिं च जनार्दन भूयः कथय तृप्तिर्हि शृण्वतो नास्ति मे मृतम्
विस्तरेणात्मनो योगम् विभूतिं च जनार्दन भूयः कथय तृप्तिर्हि शृण्वतो नास्ति मे मृतम्
श्रीभगवानुवाच
श्रीभगवानुवाच
हन्त ते कथयिष्यामि
हन्त ते कथयिष्यामि
दिव्या ह्यात्मविभूतयः
दिव्या ह्यात्मविभूतयः
प्राधान्यतः कुरु श्रेष्ठ
प्राधान्यतः कुरु श्रेष्ठ
नास्त्यन्तो विस्तरस्य मे
नास्त्यन्तो विस्तरस्य मे
श्रीभगवानुवाच हन्त ते कथयिष्यामि दिव्या ह्यात्मविभूतयः प्राधान्यतः कुरु श्रेष्ठ नास्त्यन्तो विस्तरस्य मे
श्रीभगवानुवाच हन्त ते कथयिष्यामि दिव्या ह्यात्मविभूतयः प्राधान्यत कुरु श्रेष्ठ नास्त्यन्तो विस्तरस्य मे
अहमात्मा गुडाकेश
अहमात्मा गुडाकेश
सर्वभूताशयस्थितः
सर्वभूताशयस्थितः
अहमादिश्च मध्यं च
अहमादिश्च मध्यं च
भूतानामन्त एव च
भूतानामन्त एव च
अहमात्मा गुडाकेश सर्वभूताशयस्थितः अहमादिश्च मध्यं च भूतानामन्त एव च
अहमात्मा गुडाकेश सर्वभूताशयस्थितः अहमादिश्च मध्यं च भूतानामन्त एव च
आदित्यानमहं विष्णुः
आदित्यानामहं विष्णुः
ज्योतिषां रविरंशुमान्
ज्योतिषां रविरंशुमान्
मरीचिर्मरुतामस्मि
मरीचिर्मरुतामस्मि
नक्षत्राणामहं शशि
नक्षत्राणामहं शशि
आदित्यानामहं विष्णुः ज्योतिषां रविरंशुमान् मरीचिर्मरुतामस्मि नक्षत्राणामहं शशि
आदित्यानामहं विष्णुः ज्योतिषां रविरंशुमान् मरीचिर्मरुतामस्मि नक्षत्राणामहं शशि वेदानां सामवेदोऽस्मि
वेदानां सामवेदोऽस्मि
देवानामस्मि वासवः
देवानामस्मि वासवः
इन्द्रियाणां मनश्चास्मि
इन्द्रियाणां मनश्चास्मि
भूतानामस्मि चेतना
भूतानामस्मि चेतना
वेदानां सामवेदोऽस्मि देवानामस्मि वासवः इन्द्रियाणां मनश्चास्मि भूतानामस्मि चेतना
वेदानां सामवेदोऽस्मि देवानामस्मि वासवः इन्द्रियाणां मनश्चास्मि भूतानामस्मि चेतना
रुद्राणां शङ्करश्चास्मि
रुद्राणां शङ्करश्चास्मि
वित्तेषो यक्षरक्षसाम्
वित्तेषो यक्षरक्षसां
वसूनां पावकश्चास्मि
वसूनां पावकश्चास्मि
मेरुः शिखरिणामहम्
मेरुः शिखरिणामहम्
रुद्राणां शङ्करश्चास्मि वित्तेषो यक्षरक्षसाम् वसूनां पावकश्चास्मि मेरुः शिखरिणामहम्
रुद्राणां शङ्करश्चास्मि वित्तेषो यक्षरक्षसां वसूनां पावकश्चास्मि मेरुः शिखरिणामहम्
पुरोधसां च मुख्यं माम्
पुरोधसां च मुख्यं मां
विद्धि पार्थ बृहस्पतिम्
विद्धि पार्थ बृहस्पतिम्
सेनानीनामहं स्कन्दः
सेनानीनामहं स्कन्दः
सरसामस्मि सागरः
सरसामस्मि सागरः
पुरोधसां च मुख्यं मां विद्धि पार्थ बृहस्पतिम् सेनानीनामहं स्कन्दः सरसामस्मि सागरः
पुरोधसाञ्च मुख्यं मां विद्धि पार्थ बृहस्पतिं सेनानीनामहं स्कन्दः सरसामस्मि सागरः
महर्षीणां भृगुरहं गिरामस्म्येकमक्षरम् यज्ञानां जपयज्ञोऽस्मि स्थावराणां हिमालयः महर्षीणां भृगुरहं गिरामस्म्येकमक्षरम् यज्ञानां जपयज्ञोऽस्मि स्थावराणां हिमालयः महर्षीणां भृगुरहं गिरामस्म्येकमक्षरं यज्ञानां जपयज्ञोऽस्मि स्थावराणां हिमालयः अश्वत्थः सर्ववृक्षाणां देवर्षीणां च नारदः गन्धर्वाणां चित्ररथः सिद्धानां कपिलो मुनिः अश्वत्थः सर्ववृक्षाणां देवर्षीणां च नारदः गन्धर्वाणां चित्ररथः सिद्धानां कपिलो मुनिः अश्वत्थः सर्ववृक्षाणां देवर्षीणां च नारदः गन्धर्वाणां चित्ररथः सिद्धानां कपिलो मुनिः उच्चैश्रवसमश्वानां विद्धि माममृतोद्भवम् ऐरावतं गजेन्द्राणां नराणां च नराधिपम् उच्छैश्रवसमश्वानां विद्धि माममृतोद्भवम् ऐरावतं गजेन्द्राणां नराणां च नराधिपम् उच्चैश्रवसमश्वानां विद्धि माममृतोद्भवम् ऐरावतं गजेन्द्राणां नराणां च नराधिपम् आयुधानामहं वज्रम् धेनूनामस्मि कामधुक् प्रजनश्चास्मि कन्दर्पः सर्पाणामस्मि वासुकिः आयुधानामहं वज्रम् धेनूनामस्मि कामधुक् प्रजनश्चास्मि कन्दर्पः सर्पाणामस्मि वासुकिः आयुधानामहं वज्रम् धेनूनामस्मि कामधुक् प्रजनश्चास्मि कन्दर्पः सर्पाणामस्मि वासुकिः वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुम् Sri Krishna Arpanamastu.
Thank you to all the wonderful chanters for the beautiful chantings of the Bhagavad Gita sessions, portions for today. And the meanings which are given in the earlier slides are for the different Gita commentators, including ancient and traditional as well as modern commentators like Swami Chinmayananda ji, Swami Dayananda ji, Swami Gambhirananda ji, George Feuerstein, Swami Vireshwarananda ji, Ekanath Ishwaran, Dr. Radhakrishnan, Swami Rama, Yuan Maskarao, Dr. A.G. Krishnavariyar, Swami Mukundananda. And please go through these things, and it's also available on our Facebook page as well as the YouTube channel. Now over to Gita Mahatmya by Vivek.
अथ गीता महात्म्यम् गीता शास्त्रमिदं पुण्यं यः पठेत् प्रयतः पुमान् विष्णोः पदमवाप्नोति भयशोकाद्विवर्जितः गीताध्ययनशीलस्य प्राणायामपरस्य च नैव सन्ति हि पापानि पूर्वजन्मकृतानि च मलनिर्मोचनं पुंसां जलस्नानं दिने दिने सकृद्गीताम्भसि स्नानं संसारमलनाशनं गीता सुगीता कर्तव्या किमन्यैः शास्त्रविस्तरैः या स्वयं पद्मनाभस्य मुखपद्माद्विनिसृता भारतामृतसर्वस्वं विष्णोर्वक्त्राद्विनिसृतं गीता गङ्गोदकं पीत्वा पुनर्जन्म न विद्यते सर्वोपनिषदो गावो दोग्धा गोपालनन्दनः पार्थो वत्सः सुधीर्भोक्ता दुग्धं गीतामृतं महत् एकं शास्त्रं देवकी पुत्रगीतम् एको देवो देवकी पुत्र एव एको मन्त्रस्तस्य नामानि यानि कर्माप्येकं तस्य देवस्य सेवा वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुम्.
Hari Om. Thank you, beautiful Vivek ji, for the beautiful chanting of the Gita Mahatmyam. And once again, thanking all the wonderful chanters for the beautiful rendering of the Bhagavad Gita. Now over to the much anticipated session of the Gita talk for the session 10. And this will be done by Srimati Janaki Srikanji, who is a Sanskrit and Gita teacher of Singapore. And she's already made the co-host. So over to Janaki ji. So you can take over the screen.
Jai Shri Krishna. My charan sparsh to all of you on this call. My charan sparsh at the lotus feet of Param Pujya Guruji. Thank you so much to the organizers for this amazing opportunity to go through the 10th chapter once again. In our minds, the more you go through the Gita, it's amazing. So this is the 10th chapter. I trust everyone can see the screen.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. So this is the 10th chapter, Vibhuti Yoga, that I'll just refresh myself on. It's an amazing concept, right? When you talk about the 10th chapter in connection with the entire Gita, Arjuna's request to see the Lord, where can I see you? It's kind of like landmarks in a city. Somebody comes to Singapore and they want to know, what do I need to see in order to say that, yes, I've seen Singapore. Yes, I've seen Singapore. And you tell them these are the places that you go to see. It's exactly like that. The Lord says, no problem. I'll give you very obvious landmarks where you'll be able to see me. And why do you need to see me? Because everything other than me is finite. And the Lord in the first couple of verses also reminds us that, guess what? The good, bad, everything is from me only. Now, how does this help us? It helps us to know that if the Lord is the origin, if He is the source of everything, then we will be kind to fellow humans to begin with, because it is He who appears as all whom we see. The very beautiful verse that talks about, Aham Sarvasya Prabhavo, the 8th verse, where we are reminded that whatever the Lord does, everything is from the Lord, and whatever the Lord does is Kalyankari only. He drinks poison for us also. He's, doing it for us only. He destroys also. He is doing it for us. Everything is Him. And that's what we need to remember. That's why we need to lead a God-centric life. 10.9 says, Tushyanticha Ramanticha. It's so true, right? I'm sure everyone on this call will attest to this, that no matter how many times you've already read the Ramayana, you can read it again. You can hear it again. The Mahabharata is also like that. In fact, I'm always reminded of this one part of the Mahabharata where Abhimanyu, poor Abhimanyu, is mercilessly killed by those 6 warriors. And every time we read it, we still feel the grief all over again. How is this possible? How is this possible that we are enjoying the essence of all these scriptures, enjoying the essence of what has been given to us in our tradition again and again? This is the magic of Tushyanticha Ramanticha. When reading the scriptures, it is like parasparam. It is constant nourishing of each other, and it becomes contagious. I read, you read, we all read, right? That's what happens. And we keep on reading. In the Ramcharitmanas, there is a portion where Sage Bharadwaja is telling Sage Yajnavalkya, he says, please tell me, how is this Rama who is crying for his wife? How is he the same as Parabrahman? And Sage Yajnavalkya says, my dear Sage Bharadwaja, I know you already know it. But I also know, Tushyanticha Ramanticha, you want to hear it again. And so he relates the entire Ramayana again to him. How many times have we gone on pilgrimages? Many of our satsangis have had this amazing opportunity to witness the extraordinary bhakti flow from bhaktas at Pandharpur or at Srirangam, among many other places where we distribute the Bhagavad Gita. Verse number 20 is especially very important, because the Lord begins by saying, okay, you want to know where I am. You want to know where to see me. First, take the most obvious example. Aham Atma Gudakesha. I am in everything, from an ant to the highest, the biggest thing. The light from the sun comes to all beings. It's exactly like that. The difference, of course, is in the surface of reflection. Similarly, the Lord is in all of us, reflected in all of us. Now, what do we need? Why do we need this to be such clarity in our minds? It's because everything from the blade of grass to the highest thing, Brahma perhaps, is that Lord. Which means everything is touched by that divinity. There is a story which I'm sure everybody has heard, where there is a Pandya king who ordered every citizen to, to build a bund to stop the waters, to stop the floods from destroying that place. And there was an old lady who was also ordered by the guards to carry baskets of soil for this work. She could not do it, but nobody came to help her. And suddenly the Lord Shiva, appears as this young man who is ready to help her. And he says, okay, but what will you give me? And she says, I'll give you puttu. I'll give you delicious puttu. And of course, he says, I will do it. He eats a little puttu and goes off to sleep. The king is monitoring the work, and he gets very angry when he sees this man sleeping, strikes him with a cane. And at that moment, everybody, including the king, the ministers, everybody feels the whiplash on their backs as well. Aham Atma Gudakesha. Can we actually see the presence of the Lord in everyone. There are many examples in this chapter. Of course, if we go through all the examples, we'll be sitting here for a very long time. But I've just taken two verses which are very powerful. The 33rd verse talks about three specific examples. First one is the letter A. A is the source of everything. If you think about it, without the letter A, you cannot make a full sound. We always say ik plus a is equal to ka. It's just a reminder that first of all, this A is the sound that starts everything. But what is even more amazing is every single language in this world starts with the same alphabet. How is that possible? Did they all conference together and decide? No, it's because it's all from the same source. The Lord is reminding us of that. It's also, this verse, 33rd verse, also talks about dvandva, the concept of compound word formations. This is an amazing concept in Sanskrit where you have two words that are combined together, but both words have equal importance or prominence. Imagine that. In a wedding, the bride and groom are often told to look at the two stars, Arundhati and Vasishtha. It's exactly like that. They both are equally important. Usually, two stars always will be such that one star stays stationary and the other one goes around it. Whereas Arundhati and Vasishtha are such that they're bipolar, they're constantly going around each other. This dvandva concept is reminding us of every relationship that it should have like this, which is what? Expanding, growing, always in balance, not winning at the expense of another, not one at the expense of the other, but rather uniting and uplifting each other. And the last one in this verse is the concept of time, inexhaustible time. Everything moves with time. I remember, I'm sure all of us remember, that B.R. Chopra's Mahabharat, where it starts with saying, "Main samay hoon," I am that time, right? And we have to remember that while kings won so many battles, they ruled for so long, they had to go on. Time had to keep changing them. So what is important for us, a very practical takeaway, is that time changes everything. If you keep up with time, time will keep up with you. Time will be with you if you're in the present moment. Otherwise, it'll be a problem. So what do we need to do? Every minute we need to take the juice out of it. There's no time to be lost. As they say, kshanatyago kuto vidya, kshanatyago kuto dhanam. You waste even a single moment, your wealth will not stay with you, your knowledge will not stay with you. Verse 38 is a real mind blower because it says, Dando Damayita Asmi. It says, I am that rod of chastisement in disciplinarians. As we always hear, spare the rod, spoil the child. It is the duty of a monarch to protect citizens, to give the right kind of punishment and so on. And it is an important thing for a common man to follow those rules. Like the example very often that we give in the Satsang is of in New York, there's a mayor. At one point of time, overnight, he actually changed the fine for jaywalking and things like that from $10 to $100. It was such a dramatic leap, but it stopped people from jaywalking. It was simple. Similarly, the concept of wise policy, and we can't think of anybody better than Chanakya, who was so clear. He would never forego policy for success, for worldly success, as we say it. He would never do that. There is a story that once he was reading something and doing some work, and at that time somebody comes to meet him and he says, have you come here on personal work or on official work? And the moment the man says personal work, he blows out the oil lamp. He says, that man who's visiting him says, why did you do that? He said, no, this oil is being paid for by taxpayers' money. That's the kind of principled man, policy keeping person that he was. This is the wisdom of the wise, where you're surrounding yourself always by good principles, by good values. And so the chapter closes by saying that the more we speak, the more we try to understand the Lord, actually our words can't even touch him. Our words cannot touch him. We are using our limited logic to describe something that is so fantastic, that is so amazing. So what is it that we need to do? The 10th chapter is saying the act of seeking God needs to convert into or evolve into seeing him in everything. Seeing him in every little thing. So you experience the magic, just like when you dip yourself in the Ganges. You don't need to dip yourself at every point. You just dip yourself at one point, you experience it. Like that, if you experience one magic of the Lord, then realize that everything is magic. And never think of anything as ordinary. Never lose that gratitude. He ends the chapter by saying that what is the end result of this entire chapter? It is that all of this is just a sample. So many examples are given, and the Lord says these are just sample. You know, picture abhi baki hai, mere dost, like they say, right? It is never going to get over. You can keep going on with the examples. But the Lord says this is only a sample. Then why is he stating them if it's only a sample? Because it will help you do two things. It will help you to start seeing God everywhere, and it will help you to understand that anything great should lead you to the Lord. You see something beautiful. We have two satsangis who went and saw the Victoria Falls, and they were just so amazed. If I saw the Victoria Falls, I would just be sitting there and taking pictures and, you know, all of that. What did these two people do? They looked at the Victoria Falls, they sat down there, and they chanted the entire Vishnu Sahasranama. Just in awe of the Lord's creation, right? That's what they did. Two things will happen as a result of all that has been talked about in this chapter, if we follow it practically, which is number one, we will realize that everything is Lord's Leela only. And number two, whenever we see something beautiful, extraordinary, instead of getting jealous, you see a Sachin Tendulkar batting so well, we don't need to get jealous. We need to be inspired. So we need to convert our jealousy into inspiration at every point. And this is how we convert our life that is sometimes like a battlefield. We have to convert that into a beautiful playground. I just thought I would end by bowing down to our Param Puja Guruji. Our Jivan Mukta Satsang is a coming together of aspirants who want to understand the practical application of the Gita, of the scriptures, and last 4 decades have seen an extensive reach in more than 13 countries. So this is what we do. We have a wide range of scriptures for adults, for teens, for children, and just want to once again, from the bottom of my heart, thank the organizers for this amazing outreach of the Gita, of the chanting, so beautiful to listen. Jai Shri Krishna. Krishna Arpanastu.
Thank you so much, Janki ji, for those very nice words on the chapter 10. We were and on the Vibhuti Yoga. So we will wait if there are. Please do stay back so that at the end of this segment, at the end of this chanting, if people have any questions regarding this chapter, people can raise to you. So we will get back to our normal. Let me just pin her so that all people we can show also. Yeah. Okay. Let me just share the screen. Yeah, I hope you can see my screen. And now we actually have a quiz session, which is supposed to have been done by Ananya, but unfortunately Ananya is unable to connect. So I will do this session myself. And basically we have, this is an online quiz which are actually based on the verses which are chanted and on this session as well as in the previous session. So this is about basically chapter 9. Sorry, it's written as chapter 8 here. Actually, it should be chapter 9. Yeah, it should be chapter 9. And the link is given here. It's in tinyurl.com, Gita mini quiz. So you can only have to go to this, it's a Google sheet, and you have to answer the questions there. Okay, so basically this will try to make you look deeper into the chapter 9. Oh, sorry, I think I have actually misplaced here. I need to, let me just share, I think I have shared the wrong thing. Yeah, this is one. So my apologies for that small confusion. So this is basically on chapter 9, and okay, the questions are like this. Okay, in verse 9.4, Maya Tadamidam Sarvam, Krishna says that he pervades the entire cosmos of the Jagat, but in what form? So there's a question here. So he says in this verse that he's pervading the whole cosmos in a particular form. So what is the form? So basically these questions in type 1 are meant to be answered in just about 3 or 4 or 5 words, but not more than that. And in verse 9.7, Sarva Bhutani Kaunteya describes the cyclical nature of existence or creation as per the Sankhya philosophy. Here, what is the name of one such cycle time period? So basically, the question is, every creation starts and then it ends with the dissolution. So this is described in this chapter, chapter 9, verse 9.7. So what is the cycle called? So that is a question. And in 9.10, Krishna says that he is the guiding principle or as a witness of the cyclical creation process. Who or what is the source of this process? So he says that it is not he who is actually the source of this process, but he is just a witness or a guiding principle. So that is the words used by Krishna here. So what is who or what is the source of this process? And the next question is in the famous and important verse in 9:22. Ananyas Chintayan Tomam. The Lord says that he will take care of the yoga and the kshema of his devotees. So what is this yoga and what is this kshema? So the idea is to understand what is the meaning of the word yoga and kshema as is said by the Lord in this verse 9:22. Ananyas Chintayan Yajana Padibasade. That is the verse. And in the next question is in another famous verse 9:26. Patram Pushpam Bhalam Toyam. Krishna says that it is not the material value of what is offered that matters, but the attitude with which the offering is made. So that is the beautiful statement by Lord Krishna. And the question here is, what is the important attitudinal requirement by which makes an offering by the devotee acceptable to the Lord Krishna? So these are the 5 questions on the simpler with to be answered in a few words. And the next one is to be answered in slightly longer words, about 20 words or so. And the questions are like this. In 9.5, Krishna curiously says, myself or Mamatma is the creator of all, creator of the beings, the sustainer of the beings, and yet is not residing in the beings. So what example does he give to illustrate this? He gives it with a particular example in the next verse. So the question here is, what is the example that he's using to explain? He's saying that he is a creator of everything, he's a sustainer of everything, and yet he is not residing in the being. So that is what the question is. And the next question, number 2, is in what ways do the great source of the Mahatmas worship as per verse 19, 13 to 15? So basically, I would read these verses to understand how the great Mahatmas are said to worship the Lord or to conduct upasana. So that is a question here. And the next question is in the famous and important verse 9:22, as we talked about a little while earlier. Ananyas Chintayan Domam. So the Lord says that he will take care of the yoga and the kshema of his devotees, provided they meet certain criteria. It is not that he will take care of the yoga and the kshema of every devotee who claims to be devotees, but he says that he will take care of the yoga and kshema of devotees provided they meet a certain conditions. So what are the conditions that are required for as said by the Lord Krishna in this particular verse? And the next one is action or karma binds. So at the same time, life is impossible without karma or action. To be free from the bondage resulting from karma, what is recommended by Lord Krishna in the verse 927. So Krishna says in this verse 927 that you have to do something so that the karma will not bind you. So what is it that he is saying here in verse 927? So in the concluding verse of chapter 9, 934, what should a devotee or a seeker do to reach the Supreme? So this is a culminating verse of this chapter 934. So it actually says, Lord Krishna says, the devotee should do something so that he reaches the Supreme or reaches him, Lord Krishna himself. So these are the questions in this session, and let me just go through once again. So the link is tinyurl.com Gita mini quiz S10, and this you can also view back in Facebook or in YouTube to get further on information. So basically there are two types of questions: type 1 questions to be answered in a few words, 4 or 5 words, and type 2 questions to be answered in less than 20 words. These we will handle the answers to these questions in some future sessions. So that is all the to be on the quiz. So now we move over to the very final segment of today's session, and that is going to be the mantras, the closing mantras for today, so this will be done by Sunilji. Sunilji, please.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Dhanyandaramurtaye Amritakalashahastaya Sarvamaya Vinashanaya Trailokyanataya Mahavishnave Swaha. Om Achyutaya Namaha, Om Anantaya Namaha, Om Govindaya Namaha, Om Achyutaya Namaha, Om Anantaya Namaha, Om Govindaya Namaha, Om Achyutaya Namaha, Om Anantaya Namaha, Om Govindaya Namaha. Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsachanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Bante Jagadgurum Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu Kayena Vacha Manasendriyarva Buddhyatmanava Prakriti Swabhava Karomi Yadyat Sakalam Parasmai Narayaneti Samarpayami. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamataya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sada. Shri Guru Bhyo Namaha. Hari Om.
Hari Om. Thank you so much, Sunaji. So now we have some announcements regarding upcoming events. So on the 21st of August, basically 2 weeks from today, just after the next session of our this chanting, is the online Bhajan Sandhya, and this Bhajan Sandhya is basically a 45 minutes, about one hour duration program happening every month on Sundays over our Facebook page of Gita Jayanti. The link is given at the bottom, and also now it's also being live streamed into the YouTube channel of our Gita Jayanti. And the singer for this session is Sri Ravindra Parchureji, who's a very well-known Hindustani vocalist of Singapore, and he's a tutor at the what is the place called? Yes. Temple of Fine Arts. Sorry, I did miss my words. Yeah, he's this thing from the Temple of Fine Arts. He's a tutor of Temple of Fine Arts, and he has performed all across the Asia Pacific, as well as India, and in several of the great festivals, as well as venues of India, as well as in Singapore and in Malaysia and all of the many other countries. And it'll be a very wonderful opportunity to listen to some beautiful bhajans from this wonderful singer. And we have in the same session, we also have paintings as well as sculptures by B. Jnana. He's one of the best known Indian visual artists of Singapore, and his artworks as well as his sculptures based on this theme of spirituality will be also shown during this Bhajan Sandhya. So please don't miss this. There's a free event happening at 6 p.m. On 21st of August. The next announcement that we have is on 10th of September. We have Krishna Mangeri program coming. This is an annual cultural program, basically stage performances to bring out Bhagavad Gita's message through art and culture. And the highlight of this session will be bhajan concert by the internet sensation, the Surya Gayatri. She's got over 150 million viewers across the world, and she's a great singer. And a very young artist too, and there are tickets of $10 as well as $50, and it's available. You can access the websites which are given there, Gita on the website or suryafest.org website to get details. And please do come and support the event as well as spread the message of the Gita. And the next announcement that we have is on the new initiative by Gita Jayanti called Likhita Gita Samarpan. So the idea is to offer Gita written in your own handwriting, in your own language of your preference, of your preferred language. You don't have to necessarily write in Devanagari. You can write in any of your favored or preferred language that you know and are familiar with, or your mother tongue. And this can be offered at the Gita Mokshada Ekadashi Parayan, which will be a big event which is happening on the 4th of December. So now we can write a few verses every day, so that the whole 700 verses can be completed by the session, by the Mokshada Ekadashi time. And you want to add anything, Srinivasji, to this?
Yeah, okay. I think one of the ideas is to, when you're writing the verses every day, on average, if you write from today about 8 verses a day, you can complete by 30th November. And it will be ideal if you can also read the meaning of it after you write the sloka in a 2-line or 3-line. There is a link given for Swami Shivananda's book, which has got a simple thing, but you can follow any other book of your choice. But idea is to not only just write, but understand the meaning also. And what you can do is you can bring these books on the Moksha Parayan, your personal copy, and place it in the altar before the puja, and the whole chanting will go on. And at the end of the chanting, you can take it back home. So that will be reverberated with the vibrations of the chanting in the hall. Of course, it will also be preferred that you can get other people engaged, especially family members, to write the Gita. Idea is the Gita Jayanti wants to take Gita in every form. We have been chanting today, learning today, then discussing it today, then we have exploration by great well-known speakers through forums, then we even have competitions, then we even draw, we even enact, we dance, sing, so many things. So one of the new initiatives is the Likhita Gita Parayan at your own initiative. And so please do join the program and spread the word around. Thank you. And the website has got the more details to this. So when you register for the Ligina Gita Parayan, there's a Sankalpa. There's nothing but to say that when a lot of people say, okay, I'll do, but they forget. But once you take a Sankalpa, then I think the commitment is there. So that will enable them to continue with the process. So that's why we have this link given, www.org.sg/SGS. Ligita Gita Samarpan. So you can go to that and there are more details available of what I talked about. So please do join. Why delay? Start today. That's also.
Yeah, this is an inspiration for everybody to actually write. Nowadays people don't really write too much, so this is a good opportunity to write the Gita itself, so that you get more intensely involved with the Gita. Okay, so that is all the announcements for today, and thank you everybody to all the participants. And now we will actually enable everybody to unmute yourself so that you can ask questions to the speaker for today. And the next session will be 20th of August, 2 weeks from today. So I will actually enable people to ask questions. Just 1 second. Before that, I'll request everybody to enable your video so that we can take a picture. Kindly enable your videos, please, everybody. Okay, thank you very much. And now the floor is open to the audience to ask questions. Somebody's asked a question on, please let me know where to find the links to the quiz. So let me just put it in the group so that you can actually pick it up from the group itself. Meanwhile, if anybody has any questions, you can ask right now. So this is the link to the quiz, and instead of the S10, all the rest of the things are also still open. You can actually look at the questions as well as even try to answer them if you like for the previous sessions, all the sessions too. I will put that also on the chat so that you can take a look at it.
Krishna, you can also put it on the website so that it's not somebody is on the session, but they're not able to access the chat box.
Yeah, so, sure. Yeah, okay.
Because
it's a serious effort, because people without reading the Gita will not be able to answer even a single question. That is guaranteed. So without and it is essential that you have to read actually the Gita and read through every verse that is there in the in those sessions. Without that, it is certainly not possible to answer the questions. So this is not a general knowledge quiz where people should ask some silly questions or some names and all that. That's not the idea. The idea is here to read the Gita and understand and answer the question. That's the idea. Okay, so anybody has any questions on today's talk? So okay, if nobody has, I will start with the question on this chapter 10. Janki ji. So verse 4 and 5, he says, the Lord says, Buddhir jnanam asammoha kshama satyam damashama sukham dukkham bhavo bhavo bhayam chapayam evacha. So he says that everything like sukha dukkha, bhavo bhava and abhava, bhayam abhayam, and yasha and ayasha. So that means all the good things as well as bad things actually come from him. So what is the idea here? I mean, so whereas we find in all the Vibhuti Yoga, we always find only the good things about the Lord. Whereas in this verse, he says that even the bad things also come from him. You have to unmute.
Yes, Jai Shri Krishna. Yeah, I think it's a very powerful statement, right? That good and bad, everything comes from him. Definitely, the idea in that is for us to remember that if the origin is him, if everything, the origin is him really, then all the two sides of every coin, like we only want sukha. We don't want dukkha, obviously, right? We always want to, but it's always a package deal. It's always a package deal. That's one. But number two, and I think this is very important, is that when you know that sukha and dukkha, when you know that joy and sorrow, when you know that good and bad are both coming from the Lord, imagine how we will treat two human beings whom we view as good and bad. Our treatment of people, our interaction with human beings, I think on a daily basis, that will change. And I think that is one of the greatest transformational techniques for us, right? When we're able to change the way we interact with others. Param Pujya Guruji, in for us in our purport, he always says that when you see two sides of the same coin, you need to pray for the strength of the Lord. I can't say that I can only get sukha and no dukkha, but what I can do is tell the Lord that, Are, you're giving me this dukkha, you're hitting me with this, stick on my shoulders or my back, literally, make my back stronger. That I can do for sure. So I would say that is the essence of pointing out these two opposites. Jai Shri Krishna.
Thank you so much, Janaki ji. Anybody wants to comment anything? Anybody wants to add anything?
Okay, in chapter 10, so Bhagavan Krishna says, I manifest and I am through all these things. So, and he always chooses the best one among those things, those times. So, again, extrapolating what Krishna Kumarji said, that if he's in the good and the bad, then why he has to single out, I am here more prominently.
Yeah, that is what actually my question was, actually. Yeah.
Oh,
Because in his examples, he always gives only good things, whereas in the beginning, he always says bad also. So that is the idea.
I think this has something to do with also what he later tells us in the 16th chapter, where he tells us, okay, there is divine, there is demonic, there is both. But obviously, I think we are already in touch with the demonic side all the time. We don't need to be told where to forget the Lord, for example. It's very easy. Like Kunti Mata comes and tells Krishna, she tells him, you please give me more troubles. And Krishna is, obviously smiling at her, and everybody else is looking dumbfounded. Why would anybody ask for more troubles? She said, only when I have troubles, I will think of you. We don't use the bad or the forget seeing the Lord in a terrorist, forget seeing the Lord in a person who is not so favorable to us. Can we see the Lord in those we love first? Can we see the Lord in the most obvious things around us first? The good examples are being given because, like the Upanishads also say, and we've heard it so many times, that Bhadram karne bhi shrunuyama deva, let me hear only that which is good, let me see only that which is good. We spend so much time trying to, like, if I want to hear some gossip, especially if it is gossip, I want to make sure that, my signal is clear and I'm able to hear everything clearly. If I want to see something on TV, I want to make sure everything is very clear. But I don't take enough time to notice whether what I'm seeing or what I'm hearing is good. So while the Lord is saying that, yes, I am in good or bad, I'm in good and bad, he's simply telling us that the good and bad is actually our perspective, not his. From the viewpoint of the Lord, there is no such thing as good or bad. He's saying, in your eyes, this is good, no? Okay, so now when you see this, please remember me. When you see this, please remember me. He's not going to say, look at the bad, because obviously that's something we want to avoid anyway. We want to associate with the good. There is a verse where he says, I am the dicing of the deceitful.
Yes.
Meaning I am in that Shakuni Mama's head also, no? I am in that Shakuni Mama's head. But it is not for us to praise Shakuni Mama or Ravana and say, bow down to you, but understand that everybody is given the same opportunity. Everybody is given the same divinity. This chapter is reminding us you can use that divinity for something good, or you can fall for something like that. Choice is ours. Choice is ours to be inspired or to bow down to mediocrity. I hope that clarified. Jai Shri Krishna.
Yeah, anybody else? Any other questions? Just 2-3 days ago, we had this, Naga Panchami, right? So this it talks about verse 28 and 29. Talks about Sarpana Masmi Vasuki, and the next verse he says Anandas Chasmi Naganam. So this Sarpas and Nagas are actually treated separately. So what is the difference?
I think the examples are given in a thematic form. If you actually look at all these verses, when you see Vasuki and all of that, you'll also see, if I'm not wrong, that particular verse, you said
28 and 29.
28, 29, right?
Yeah.
If I'm not wrong, yeah, you will see in 28, if you look at the verse, Ayudhanam Vajram, yeah, you're seeing all the things that have to do with what you call churning of the ocean and so on and so forth. So reminding us that just as the Vasuki was used for that churning, the mind also has to be churned like that, because initially poison only will come. Initially, when you sit for meditation, for example, that's what happens, right? All the negative, I say I want to sit to meditate because don't want to have any negative thoughts, but that's the first thing that comes. And then you continue the churning process and then it gets purified. But the next verse, 28, is talking about all these gods, right? Naganam, Varuno, it's talking about all of them. And it's also reminding us that these are the deities to and different types of creations to be worshipped. If we see that, see Pitrinam, Aryama, and all those leaders, the best in their field, reminding us once again that it's almost like defaming the Lord or an insult to him if we don't achieve our best. Not the best in like they say in a classroom, you always want the child to get the best in the class. Actually, that's not required, because the best in the class, there was an example in one child came back to her mother and she actually said this. She said, I got 50% in my math. And South Indian family getting 50% in the math was literally one big chaos happened in the house. Everybody was shouting, how can you get 50% in math? And then the girl said, this is the highest in the classroom. And suddenly the parents had to sit down and tell her, remind her that it's not important to get best in the classroom, but your own personal best. And I think that is what these in 28, those leaders all represent the best they themselves, they were able to tap into that divinity, or as Swami Chinmayananda used to always say, right, that productive potential within us. They were able to tap into that. Jai Shri Krishna.
Thank you. And Rajesh ji always quotes this beautiful verse, Ahamatma Gudakesha Sarvabhutasya Stitaha. Isn't it, Rajesh ji? You have to unmute. You can't hear, can't unmute. You have to, I have actually enabled unmuting, sorry. Oh, 1 minute. Oh, my apologies. Actually, now you can unmute. Yeah. Can you unmute now? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Sorry.
Thank you, Krishna ji.
Yeah,
So such amazing discussions going on, and we must compliment Janki ji for such a wonderful narration of the remaining verses of 9th chapter and the key verses from the 10th chapter. Both chapters are so amazing. The whole day we can keep discussing. But as you mentioned, Aham Atma Gudakesha Sarva Bhutasha Sthita Aham Adiri Madhyam Cha Bhutana Mant Eva Cha. If we analyze that verse very clearly, Shri Krishna is telling, I'm seated in your heart as Paramatma. His one form is the Brahma, where he is present in every atom of the universe. His other form is Paramatma. He is seated in our heart. He is making a note of every thought of ours. And another form, which is the most glorious, is the Bhagwan form. So, the talk about Sukha and Dukkha becomes very secondary, in my opinion, because we all know that the conditioned world is under the three gunas, Sattvic, Rajasic, Tamasic. So, Shri Krishna has given such a spectrum of choices to us. Let us take the food. The food itself is saying, if you consume sattvic food, this is the result. If you consume rajasic food, this is the result. If you consume the tamasic food, this is the result. And we all have experimented it, and we all know for sure that, this is how the food system works. So without getting involved in the reasons why the three gunatmak world was created, we all know for sure that loving devotion to Sri Krishna will do the trick. And that is the message of Bhagavad Gita. Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu maam anusmar yudhyacha. So all these verses about the opulences, the vibhuti, are meant to, give us an opportunity to enhance our devotion to the loving service of the Lord. And, it is so wonderful to look at it from that perspective. Of course, the Lord has made Sukha, Dukkha, both. He has made Kirti and Apkirti. He has made positivity and negativity. In the words of Sri Aurobindo, to thicken the plot, Sri Krishna ji.
Thank you. That's so nice. Yeah, actually, this chapter is a very in my feeling is that this chapter is a very clear indication that this Krishna or in Gita is not really rejecting the world. So basically, Krishna is really embracing. It's saying that this world is real, and that everything in this world, especially is actually me, and the more of me is there in the excellences. This is what I think. I don't know. It's just my thought.
No, it is an absolutely wonderful thought. Tulsidas ji says it very succinctly in Ramcharitmanas. Anand Sindhu Madhya Taba Vasa Binu Jane Katmarsi Piyasa. Tulsidas ji says this world is Anand Sindhu. It is the ocean of bliss, because the Lord himself has become the world. When Mahapralaya, in the Mahapralaya stage, there is only the Lord, there is nothing else. And then the Lord, unleashes his Prakriti, Maya energy, and everything emanates from him. So in the eyes of the saint, the world is the bliss of the ocean. But we have disconnected ourselves, and that is why we are experiencing the suffering. In the same world, the person who is connected to the Lord, he doesn't experience any suffering. Have you seen any saint suffering the pangs of the world? So the world, indeed, Krishna ji, is the Ananda Sindhu, is the ocean of bliss. It is our thinking and, the attachment to the Maya which causes the suffering.
Yeah, that's right. So many people tend to say that the world is an illusion, and things like that.
You want to go into that discussion, Mayavad and
I think
Advait? Yeah,
that's not.
Jai Shri Krishna, if I can just add something to that.
Yeah, sure.
Just something that our Param Puja Guruji is always reminding us. See, the whole of this chapter and other chapters as well, just reminding us that all this Sukha, Dukkha, everything is there. Yes, like Rajesh ji, is it?
Yeah, Rajesh. Yeah.
So just like you said, yes, the world is so beautiful. It's a creation of the Lord after all. Because I remember hearing from Swami Tejomayananda once that yeah, we are saying that this is all Maya, but it is the Lord's Maya. So to appreciate that it is His Maya that is all there. And this is the seen world that we are able to enjoy. Now the trick is, can we look at the seen world and go to the unseen? Use the seen to go to the unseen. Either we can use the world to get Lord to get the world, which is what I do all the time, or I can start using the world and its beauty and its creation to actually see the Lord everywhere. Because the Lord has created all of this for us to, yes, definitely enjoy and all of that, only to give it all up later at some point. And Guruji always says, better to renounce it voluntarily rather than being forced to give it up at some point. Yeah. Jai Shri Krishna. Sorry, I just wanted to add that.
Yeah, absolutely correct. I mean, absolutely, very, very true. Because these are only tools to reach, to go higher. And also another interesting verse is this verse 26. Ashwadha sarva vrikshanam. So he says that he is Ashwadha among the vrikshas. This is actually in which climate change and everything. So we should be aware of nature. And I'm reminded of Vishnu Sahasranamam, in which he says that he is actually Ashwadha and Audumbra. The two trees are actually mentioned in Vishnu Sahasranamam, whereas here he talks about Ashwadha only. And the word Ashwadha comes very often in, especially chapter 15. It comes again. So there seems to be some connection between the Ashwadha tree and Krishna, and also this Audumbara tree. So
the Ashwatha tree especially is very important because the very meaning, right? Because when we say Shashwata is that which is forever, eternal. And Ashashwata is that which is not eternal. That is why the 15th chapter says, right, Suviruda Moolam, the roots of that tree have to be pointed upwards. Right now, my roots are in the world only. I need to turn the whole mind space around. I need to elevate myself. I need to divinize my eyesight, as this chapter specifically is telling us, and turn that tree upside down, and my roots need to be in the Lord only. Everything else will fail. That's for sure. Because I'm placing my security, my yoga, kshema, all that. I'm thinking everything, all my security, everything is in those sense pleasures, literally. Yeah. So beautiful,
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, he's saying that Urdhva Moolam Adam Shakam Ashwatam Prahurabhyayam Chandansi Yasya Parnani Tashyam Veda Saveda, with such a wonderful shloka where the Ashwat tree is used as the allegory to tell us about the material world, which is a perverted reflection of the spiritual world. That's why it is upside down, and how we need to cut the roots of the tree and get ourselves from the duality, the dvand, and be in the bliss. Absolutely. That is the significance of the Aswat tree, the banyan tree. No wonder it is worshipped all over.
Yeah. No, what I wanted to say was, there are two trees mentioned in Vishnu Sahasranamam, Ashwadha tree and Audumbara tree. There are two trees are mentioned. In addition to Ashwadha, Audumbara is also mentioned in the Vishnu Sahasranamam.
Yes, as you mentioned, the two types of a snake, like we all thought serpent and a snake is synonymous, but from Sri Krishna we are learning they are not. So we need to do some further studies. Same with Audumbara and Ashwat.
Yeah. Because nowadays people are all nature conscious and aware of the trees, and so this actually gives a connection to the natural world around also. And I think our scriptures talk a lot about various kinds of trees, which are auspicious in various ways. So also it's also very interesting. Like Lord Shiva has got Bilva tree, which is very important. Like that, there are different Kadamba trees, very auspicious for Devi worship. Sri Lalita Sahasranam talks a lot about Kadamba tree and the Kadamba fruit and Kadamba flowers and all that.
Sri Krishna's Ras Leela, would take place under the Kadamba tree.
Yeah, also, yeah, true. So there are lots of trees which are mentioned in our scriptures, and I think it'll be nice if we can get some kind of relationship between the scriptures and the trees, so that it'll be a nice nice idea to about this nature consciousness. So if now it's already 1 o'clock, if there are no other questions, are there any questions, anybody? So with your permission, and I think it's time to end the session. Is it okay for everybody? So thank you, everybody. And thank you so much to Dhyanji, who was our guest of honor for today, as well as our wonderful speaker, Janki ji, who elucidated on chapter 10, some of the verses of chapter 10, and tried to convey the beautiful messages of the vibhutis of the Lord in such beautiful way. So thank you so much to Janki ji also, and also to all our wonderful chanters who did a brilliant job as usual of chanting the Bhagavad Gita in such impeccable diction and ucharanam and pronunciation and everything. So beautifully done. And so thank you to all our lead chanters and to all participants who participated here, and to Gita Jayanti and to Lord. And we offer everything the lotus feet of Lord Krishna. Thank you so much, and see you all at the next session, which is happening 2 weeks from today. Thank you so much. Hari Om.